Hey y'all, this is BG Codes and I'm bradgarropy. Welcome to 2020 and the first stream of the year. And this one's going to be a fun one. I'm going to give you an introduction to a project called Adobe Lunch. Something I worked on in 2019. Towards the end of the year, I released the first version of this. The first version is pretty stripped down, pretty simple, and very tailored toward the Adobe office in Austin. So what the goal of this app is to give folks at the Adobe office in Austin random suggestions for where to eat lunch in the area, something walkable. They can then approve or reject those suggestions until they find the one they want, and then they can approve it and they'll get walking directions to that place. Think of it as like Tinder for restaurants in the area near you. So without further ado, let's switch over and we can check out what this app looks like. So this is the screen we start off with. Landing page, it's very simple. It's also designed to be mobile friendly. And the only action you have here is tell me. And what this is going to do is it's going to pull data from Foursquare to find out what are the 50 closest restaurants to the Adobe Austin office. And it's going to present you with just some very basic information. We've got the name, the description, a most popular photo, which isn't always the best, a link to their menu, price, and review. All of the basic information that you would expect. This isn't meant to be like a Google Maps replacement or anything. So it's just like helping you just randomly pick a place. Hey, you guys want to go to lunch? You whip out this app, click through a couple of these suggestions, and then go. So Culver's, I'm not a big fan. It's a hamburger joint. I'll say no. When you press no, it loads up a new place. Now, Paul Martin's Grill. This is an awesome place. I like it a lot. And let's say I want to approve it. This is the one I want. I click the smile. This approves the suggestion. And now you've got walking directions from the Adobe office over to Paul Martin's Grill. And that's it. That is the gist of the application. Seemingly simple. So I am going to talk a little bit about the technology behind it, how I built it, and maybe in a later video I'll talk about the roadmap and kind of what I see for improvements. So this runs on Gatsby. Gatsby is a static site generator, very Jamstack friendly. And the reason why Adobe Lunch can be statically generated is because the restaurants around the Adobe office don't change very often. So what I do is at build time, use Foursquare's API. I kind of shadow that here with the giant F. I use Foursquare's API to pull the 50 closest restaurants to the Adobe office in Austin. And then I make pages for each one of those. So if you'll pay attention to the URL as I change these, each place has a dedicated static page. So these are all pre-rendered. But the problem is, what if a restaurant closes or a new one opens up? I've statically generated the website. How do I make sure that information is up to date? Well, I use Netlify to host this thing. And Netlify has this notion of webhooks to kick off builds. So you'll notice here at my deploy logs, deploy triggered by hook, Google Cloud Scheduler. And I'm a fan of the Google Cloud platform over AWS, find it easier to use. And you can come up here and see I have a Cloud Scheduler job, which is essentially a cron job in the cloud that runs this thing called build daily. And essentially what it is a call out to the Netlify build hook that I set up. And so every day at 9 p.m., that runs and rebuilds the site, catching any new restaurants or any restaurants that have closed. at a once a day interval, which is about right. One feature that I do have in place, but I'm not really doing anything with, is very basic levels of tracking. I don't know who you are. I collect no information about you, but what I do collect information about is which restaurants are approved or rejected. So I use this thing called Airtable to collect this information. And this is Airtable here. What I do is I take the place's ID and just count the number of times it's accepted, the number of times it's rejected, and then I calculate that ratio. And the place with the highest ratio is considered the most popular. And so it's always fun to see what this is. I'm gonna go ahead and copy this ID, paste it in here, and we'll see what the most popular place is. Toulouse Cafe and Bar. And so that's a basic tour of Adobe Lunch. This has been a fun project to work on, and I have a large roadmap ahead. I think the biggest thing that I see here is that it's statically generated, meaning I only anticipate people who work at the Adobe office in Austin to use this. This won't be applicable for anybody else. It's not location aware. So that's probably the first big feature I want to bring to this, which has a lot of implications on now you can no longer statically generate the site, and it'll slow down page load a little bit because we'll have to be sending API requests. But it's definitely something to check out. For the first version, my good buddy Todd motivated me to just stay simple and take user feedback. So there you have it. This is Adobe Lunch. It was a lot of fun to work on, and I was very vocal about building the whole thing. I actually streamed all of the development on YouTube. So if you want to see that, hop over to my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/bradgarropy. And you'll find an Adobe Lunch playlist where you'll see all the videos that I did in that series. So that about wraps it up today. Thanks for watching. This has been BG Codes. Later, y'all.